Can I read 100 books this year? Hi, and welcome back to Well Balanced Wallet. I'm Kamika, and this year I'm challenging myself to read 100 books. One of my favorite hobbies is reading. I love to get lost in a story. I like to be able to think about things outside the box, figure out twists and plots, and I love reading stories that are set in Georgia. So it's just a really good time when I find a book that I really enjoy. So I was one of the kids that used to get the free personal pan pizzas from Pizza Hut throughout the summer through the Book It program. I don't even know if they still have that, but back in the day, you used to be able to read your books, fill out this little punch card, I guess it was, and then turn it in and get a free pizza when you filled it up. I would do that the whole summer, and it was just a really good time. And ever since then, I've just loved reading. So I know 100 books sounds like a lot, but I'm typically reading 3 books at a time because I listen to audiobooks when I'm working or doing the dishes or on the treadmill or anything like that. When I have time during the day or during my lunchtime, I will pick up a physical book. As you can see, I have books here behind me. We have 4 full bookshelves, like the tall ones that you see in the libraries. We have 4 of those, and they are completely filled. And then we have 2 smaller ones, like the one behind me. So we have a lot of books in this house. So I read physical books as well. And then at night, when I get in the bed, I prefer to read on my Kindle. And it's usually a different book on all 3 of those mediums, just because I can follow along a story. Just like if you were to watch multiple series at a time, I can follow along the stories and I don't tend to get confused. But sometimes if I'm really interested in a book, I'll listen to it when I can, and then I'll pick it up on my Kindle just to have that physical reading aspect of it at night. But yeah, so that's how I am able to read so many books. Last year I read 93, and the year before that I think I only read 12 books that year, but I'm just always constantly reading. And I got my Kindle last year. If you can tell, I read way more books than I read the year before. So I think I will be able to get to 100 this year, only 7 more than I did last year. So I'm going to come on here and rate the books that I've read. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the first 5 books that I read in 2024. So first up, we have One Day in December. And this book, I started it in December, but I didn't finish it until January, so I counted it towards 2024 books. So this book follows Laurie and Jack. And one day in December, Laurie was on a bus in London, and when she looked out the window, she made eye contact with this man, and they locked eyes for a brief second, and that instant she knew that this was her soulmate. And it kind of feels like he knew that too, because he started walking towards the bus to get on, but the bus driver pulled off before he was able to get on the bus. So Laurie was going through London to stop at coffee shops and things like that, because I think the guy was reading a book when she saw him. So she was going all around, and she did this for a whole year trying to find this man, and she couldn't. And then a year later, she was going to I think it was a Christmas party with her friend, and her friend opens the door to welcome her and introduce her to her new boyfriend. And her new boyfriend happens to be the guy that she saw on the bus, named Jack. So basically we get to see how Jack and Laurie and the friend Sarah interact with each other over a 10-year period. I thought the book was good. I enjoyed reading it. I really liked the characters. The characters were able to grow and build friendship and experience heartache, experience personal tragedies, and come together, fall apart. Everything that you would have in a friendship, these characters were able to go through. And I do think the ending was predictable, but I really enjoyed going through their story throughout the whole 10 years. So for my rating, I read this book as an audiobook, and I ended up giving it 3 stars. Okay, so the next book I read was The Girls' Weekend. This book follows June and her college friends. So at the beginning of the book, June's boyfriend breaks up with her, and instead of sulking at home alone, one of her friends invites her to a baby shower and a girls' weekend with a group of their college friends. Y'all, this book is so messy. June used to date one of her friend's now husband. So that history is all wrapped up into the story. But anyway, the The friends go out to this baby shower and girls' weekend at one of their friends' houses. And the friend like has a big house and like lakes or bodies of water there. So anyway, when they get there, they have a girls' night where they're drinking and having fun. And then they wake up the next morning and the host, Sadie, is missing. They can't find her anywhere. They feel like they've been drugged. They don't remember what happened the night before. They just know that the house is in disarray. They are in places that they don't remember being before they fell asleep, and they're wearing clothes that may or may not be theirs. It's just a crazy ride. This is a thriller, so there's a lot of suspense and mystery going on, which I really enjoyed. And basically, all of these women have a reason to suspect that they are the reason why their friend is missing, but they can't piece it together. So the story just goes on with them trying to figure out what the heck happened that night and where their friend is and why she is missing. This book is really messy. A lot of secrets come out, a lot of feelings are brought back up, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really solid read. And I was not able to guess the plot twist. I really enjoy reading books where I can't guess the plot twist. I had like a bunch of different theories in my mind, but it didn't end up being any of them. So I really enjoyed this book. For my rating, I listened to this book as an audiobook and I gave it 4 stars. So next up we have Long Shot. If you haven't read this book, I want to say please read the trigger warnings before you read this book, because I did not, and I felt all type of emotions from different situations that went on in this book. So if you're going to read it, read the trigger warnings first. So this book follows Iris and Caleb. And Caleb is a basketball player in the NBA, and Iris is his girlfriend, and it goes through their love story and their relationship and the things that are right and wrong in their relationship. And then Iris ends up meeting August West in a bar while she was watching a basketball game. And she feels some sort of attraction to him. He feels some sort of attraction to her, but it's a forbidden love because she's already in a relationship. And August and Caleb are rivals. They play on rival NBA teams and they know each other, have been playing basketball together majority of their lives, and they don't really like each other. So that made for a really interesting story. This book is pretty long. I think it's broken down. Yeah, it's broken down into parts. And I feel like each part gets heavier than the last. But it was such a good book. This was such a good book. I loved the symbolism, like you can tell that Kennedy Ryan put a lot of thought into this book when she was writing it. You can tell that she reached out to sensitivity readers to make sure that the information she was putting in the book was accurate. The story is just a mess. I like books that tend to be a little messy, but this story is a mess. This story is, I don't even know how to describe it, but this book was so good. This was one of those books that I stayed up to 2-3 o'clock in the morning reading because I was just trying to figure out what the heck was going on and how this was going to be resolved. So as I mentioned, it's a forbidden romance. We have families involved. We have rivals involved. We have friends. Everybody's giving different advice and different information. And the story is just really heartbreaking and tragic and fun-loving in places. And it was just a really good book. So for my rating, I read this book on Kindle. It's on Kindle Unlimited if you have access to that. And I ended up giving it 4 stars. I couldn't give it 5 stars because I just didn't feel like certain things were as realistic as they could have been. Some things didn't make sense to me, but this was a really, really good book. I really recommend this book if you are interested in romance, forbidden romance, basketball romance, sports, anything like that. This is a really good book. So next up we have The Neighbor Favor. This book follows Lily and Nick. So Lily is a lover of books and her dream job is to become an editor for children's books, but right now she's stuck in nonfiction. One day on a whim, she writes an email to her favorite fantasy author And they start corresponding back and forth and getting to know each other, and essentially they fall in love through email. But she doesn't know who the author is because the author uses a pen name. The author ends up ghosting Lily and never writing her back, and she feels devastated about this. So the rest of the book is her trying to find a date to her sister's wedding because she has a bet going on between herself and her sisters on whether she will bring a date to the wedding or not. And she runs into her neighbor, which is Nick. As they start talking and getting to know each other, Nick realizes that Lily is the person that has been corresponding with him via email because he's the author. But he is scared to tell her. He doesn't want to let her know that they formed this type of connection online. So he just continues to get to know her as himself. But he feels like he's lying to her because he's not telling her that he is the author. So the book follows their story and them being neighbors, of them helping each other out, getting to know each other more. And it's just a really cute story. This is a good little feel-good story. And they had some of the cutest dates ever in this book. I really enjoyed just, watching a relationship form between Lily and her neighbor, Nick. So for my rating, I read this book as an audiobook and I gave it 4 stars. And I gave it 4 stars because sometimes it was kind of slow, sometimes it picked up, but the book overall was really good and really cute. Nice feel-good story, and I like to read those in between like some of these thrillers that I like to read, so I enjoyed it. So the last book for this video is called You Sara, and I read books with 2 of my friends. So January was my book pick, and so this is what I chose because I had it on my shelf and I hadn't read it yet. But it follows 2 women named Sarah, and they meet at a bar in a bathroom. One of the Sarahs is really drunk and she can't get up off of the floor. The other Sarah works at the bar and was told to go and get this drunk girl out of the bathroom and make sure she gets home. So she goes in there, they meet each other, say, hey, I'm Sarah, hey, I'm Sarah. And they form like a quick little friendship and they walk outside. And the bartender, Sarah, uses her phone to call a rideshare. And then she also grabs the other Sarah's phone to call her a rideshare as well. Both of the rideshares pull up at the same time. And they go to the driver. It's like, hey, is this ride for Sarah? The driver says yes. Both women do that. And when the bartender, Sarah, gets to her destination, she realizes that she's not at home. She's at the other Sarah's house. So they got in the wrong rideshare. By the time she makes her way to her place, she sees police there, all type of, commotion going on, caution tape, and a dead woman on the ground, and it happens to be the other Sarah. So now the rest of the book, Sarah, the bartender, is trying to figure out if she was the intended target for this murder or if the other Sarah was into some stuff and just happened to be in front of bartender Sarah's house when she got murdered. The premise of the book is so good. Like, that sounds like a really good book. And I did enjoy reading this book, but there were just some things that were out of sorts. There's like a backstory going on with bartender Sarah. There was like a few things going on with the drunk Sarah's friends and family. So both Sarahs came from 2 different backgrounds. One Sarah, the bartender Sarah, was really poor. The other Sarah had money. Their neighborhoods were completely different. You wouldn't catch one in the other one's neighborhood because they had no reason to be there. So the book was very interesting, but I think the execution could have been a little bit better. The book was told in alternating chapters between the 2 Sarahs. So you got to see the background of bartender Sarah, you got to see the background of drunk Sarah, and the story really did come full circle. So while I liked the book, the execution was kind of disappointing. So for my rating, I read this book. I actually have the physical book, but since I started reading so late and I didn't want my friends to finish reading and wait on me, I ended up reading half of my physical copy and half on the audiobook. But I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I think my friend Jasmine gave it 3 stars and my friend Melissa gave it 2 stars. So this was just one of those books that were like, okay, it was okay. We probably won't read it again, but it wasn't a terrible book. So those are my first 5 books of 2024. As you can see, I haven't read any 5-star books yet. So in the comments below, let me know what you're currently reading and recommend some 5-star books for me to read throughout this year. I can't wait to see your recommendations. That's all for this video. Be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and click the link on your screen right now for more Well Balanced Wallet content. See you there.